أنا بعرف مؤسسين رياض جيكس وبعرف عن رياض جيكس من سنين. أول مرة بحضر رياض جيكس. هي أول مرة بعت البرزنتيشن الوركشوب هيدا بالرياض حتى بالسعودية حتى تحديدا. هالبرزنتيشن أعطيتها رح أجرب قد ما في أحكي بالعربي. أول مرة بعملها بالعربي إجمالا بعملها بالإنجليزي لأنه أسهل بالإنجليزي وكله technical terms بالإنجليزي أصلاً.
بس ترى already added the note إنه it's in English فيمكن في ناس ما يعرفون الإنجليزي جاي اليوم.
مين عنده مشكلة بالإنجليزي؟ مين عنده مشكلة بالعربي؟ طيب.
Let's do it in English.
English? Okay. I'll do it in English.
I just want to know that you asked who has a problem with Arabic and if you asked it here.
I know. I thought everyone speaks. بعد ما هو جاي خاف اكسرا. طيب. So yeah, I gave this presentation to many accelerators around the world, from 500 startups to companies from Y Combinator, Techstars, StartX, Stanford, in San Francisco, in San Jose, in Las Vegas, in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, in London, pretty much around the world. I did not study marketing. Everything I know about growth and product marketing has been practical. Everything you see in this presentation is based on practical experiences, practical know-how that my companies have implemented, I've implemented, and a lot of companies in Silicon Valley have implemented. I literally gave it to companies from YC, and they told me even at YC, even at Y Combinator, they haven't been given this kind of content because it's very, very practical. So let's start. It's going to be around product growth and how to master product growth. I'm going to give you the tips on how to do it. Okay.
Just
one click, 2 seconds.
1 second.
Let's say that it's not. So just a big background about myself. I studied robotics engineering. I'm fascinated about systems and how to automate and systemize everything. I started my career with Procter & Gamble in the brand management, where I really learned marketing on the ground. I started while I was Procter & Gamble, few companies. Then I moved to Dubai, where I set up the Google office, and I was managing the Google business in the Middle East and some part of Europe. Initially heading the marketing and then focusing on the B2B marketing across the whole region, helping Google make more money by running their monetization strategy as well. Then I moved from Google. Who knows N2V or heard about N2V? So N2V a few years back was the biggest internet group in the region. It was one of the pioneers in the internet industry in the region. We were among the first who started the industry and like the boom of the internet industry. We were actually a bit early. I joined to help market N2V, and I became eventually CMO of the group. It was a large group where we invested. Is this disconnecting? We invested in internet companies, we owned internet companies, and we built internet companies. So I got familiar with the whole industry in the region with all the different verticals. I got, at that point, I went to the US, where I started my career from scratch. I started consulting tech companies. I started everything from scratch. I went to Silicon Valley, I knew nobody. That's when I started consulting companies and marketed myself as a product. This is where I started teaching companies from YC, from all these different accelerators. One of them was Tango, the video calling app. Who knows Tango? Who's heard? Wow, okay. So one of the biggest markets for Tango is actually in Saudi.
Well, we'll change the mic.
We're going to change the mic for just
أريح لي؟ طيب. So I joined Tango as the chief marketing officer globally, and I got exposed to the whole world of messaging and mobile apps. This is when I figured there's a big, big gap between web marketing and mobile marketing, or any kind of marketing. Many in the region still don't know what mobile marketing is. So I started, I helped Tango. We had 500 million users, so it was one of the biggest apps in the world. After that, I set up an academy to teach product growth and mobile growth. In the meantime, I had few companies, I sold few companies, so I got exposed to the entrepreneurship. I even now have a company. It's called Scandy. It's a messaging platform for brands in the offline world. It's the first of its kind as well. So I personally help more than 6,000 startups, not face-to-face only, obviously online. I cannot meet 6,000 companies face-to-face. From my academy and from teaching in person and online. So I'm pretty confident to say that this has been tested thousands of times. And the content I'm going to give you could be applicable to a mobile app, a hardware company, a SaaS company, pretty much any vertical, even not in the tech industry. And I want to make it interactive. So if you have questions, please ask the questions. Don't wait until the end. Let's keep it interactive, okay? Don't be shy to ask questions. There's no wrong question here. So I like to simplify things. The 3 pillars of any successful business relies on 3 main things: systems, people, and the mindset. I have to stay here to look at it. System is all about the systems you implement in your business. It's all about the automation, the processes you have in the business. One thing I forgot to mention is that the reason I am in Riyadh right now is there's a program between 500 startups and MISC. It's a 4-month program. Who knows 500 startups? For those who don't know 500 startups, it's the most global VC in the world. It's based out of Silicon Valley, and they did a partnership with MISC to run a 4-month accelerator program. It's the largest in the region. And they asked me to come back to the region to help manage the whole program, in addition to my own company. So what we teach all these different startups in the program is about systems, it's about processes. The second thing you need is the right people. It's your team, it's your advisors, it's mentors that you need to bring on board as well. Obviously the investors as well that can help you open up doors. The third thing is the mindset. A lot of what you're going to be facing is limited by your own beliefs. Sometimes you think you cannot do it. It's all about mindset. It's all about having this confidence that it is possible. I can grow 100 times faster. I can grow 20 times faster. So having the right mindset is also important. It's rarely mentioned. If you want, we can have a whole different workshop and session about that, because it's very, very important. In this workshop, I'm going to focus on the systems. The systems you need to implement in your business for effective growth. So with that mindset, a lot of you guys focus on engineering your product. It's equally important to engineer your marketing and not neglect it, not just do it in the last second. So this mindset is so important, and this presentation is going to show you how you actually can do it. So I want to focus on growth marketing. Many people here still in the region focus on digital marketing. The concept of digital marketing it's kind of outdated. What you need to think about is growth marketing. So what is growth marketing? What is growth in the sense? Growth is basically taking someone who has no idea about your product all the way through every single step so that they love your product. Every single step. This is basically growth marketing. It's easier said than done. So how do you do it? To architect your marketing, it's important to focus on the main reasons why somebody is not using your product or your business. There are essentially 6 high-level ones. Your job is to address each one of them. The first one is, obvious one, they don't know your product exists. It's what every company faces. It's the start for everything. Your job is to build on discovery, build on awareness. This is the very first thing. The second step is, once they know it exists, they just don't understand what the product does. And that's common among many, many companies. This is a company, who knows about ICO? Who's heard about ICO? Cryptocurrency, blockchain. So ICO is the fact of raising money using cryptocurrency, digital currencies. This company was founded by a geek, a crazy smart person who's an engineer. In a matter of 3 weeks, they raised $40 million in cryptocurrency. They hired 250 employees, and then they hired me to help them in marketing. They spent years, close to 2 years, building their technology, hired 250 people, and then they were struggling. Nobody was using their product. The first thing I do when I land a client like this, I look at the messaging. People were getting stuck at this page. They spent millions and millions of dollars building the product, but people were stuck at this page. Who understands what this does? Scalable smart contracts interfacing with real-world data. People don't understand it. It's the start of everything. So if people know about it and they know about it, they spend a lot of money on advertising, they got stuck at this point, simply because people don't understand what the product does. So we're going to talk about that, but use simple words that humans, that real people use in every day. So once people understand the product, a reason why they don't use it, they just don't care about the product. Now you might understand what eternity does. You just might not be interested in it. You might not care about it. So here's the concept of positioning. It's so important. There are endless case studies and examples of why companies fail. It starts off with the fact that the positioning of the business is so vague, so complicated, nobody is using it. And we're going to talk a lot about positioning as well. So once people know about it, understand and care about it, they still don't use it because they don't trust it. That's also extremely common among new companies who don't have a brand yet, who don't have familiarity in the market. Building this trust, this credibility is extremely important to get companies to work with you. A lot of new companies struggle because they're not able to convince that they're going to stay in business over a certain period of time by doing, like for example, if you work with STC and you tell them we're going to do this and this and this, if STC is not convinced you're going to exist in 6 months, in 1 year, they're not going to do business with you. Trust is extremely important, is oftentimes neglected. There are a lot of ways you can build trust. You can use social proof. Social proof is when you show others, when you show somebody, like if I tell Mazen, 600 companies are using my product, he immediately feels that my product is now trustworthy. When you show somebody that others have used the product, that's why you should trust us. A portfolio of clients, that's also common. Testimonials. Portfolio and testimonials usually come together. Unless the brand is recognized and it's already trusted, there's no point of showing a portfolio or testimonials. In testimonials, unless the person comes from a trusted brand or the person has a trusted title, or even better, the person is trusted, then the testimony is useless. You just neglect it or avoid it. Results also are extremely important in the beginning. When you can prove that your product delivers, results speak for themselves. The one I use the most is association. It's the fastest way to build trust and credibility for your brand. When I arrived in the Valley, my story here is very simple. I was the first marketing executive for Google. We were 4. We set up the Google office. It was the biggest marketing job in the region. I went to Silicon Valley. I was 1 out of 15,000 Googlers in the region, in Silicon Valley. The story doesn't work. I had to find ways to build my trust in the market. What I did is I immediately did it by association. What does that mean? You identify a trusted brand in the market that people already know and are familiar with, and you work with them. You associate with them. Immediately people trust you. You guys did not know me. Nobody knew me before Riyadh Geeks, except for a few people. What I did with Mazen, you guys trust Riyadh Geeks. You're a part of the network of Riyadh Geeks. Riyadh Geeks work with me. Now you trust me. That's why I'm on stage. That's why you are here. I work with association. That's how I built all my brands, all my companies. Association is the fastest way to establish a credibility and trust without spending money. You can literally do it overnight.
Examples?
Can
you remember an example?
Yes, I can. I know a lot of examples. I just want to be mindful of time.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of the academy, how I did it. I architected the whole thing. So I had content. I produced content, but nobody knew about my content. I wanted to establish trust in the Valley. There are probably thousands of people like me, so-called growth experts in the Valley. But I wanted to distinguish myself. The reason I'm here is because 500 startups got me here because I established my trust with them using the same model I'm going to tell you now. That's how everything started. So I went to the Valley. I created the content. I identified companies in my space that are already trusted. The first company I identified, a company called Branch, company founded by Stanford graduates. They had just raised some money, like $5 million, and I knew that they were doing something special. And they got covered by TechCrunch and all these different people because one big investor invested in them. They were in the mobile space. Here's what I did. I went and found a meetup they were organizing in San Francisco. And I went there with a single purpose of asking for the founders' emails and contacts. I told them I have something that could be interesting for them. I would love to meet the founders. I got myself the contact of the founders, and I got myself a meeting with the founders. Before I went to the meeting, I went on YouTube and found lots of videos that they had created about the product, how Branch works. It was completely scattered all over the place. I took these videos, I went and found an online tool that creates landing pages. I organized the videos for them. This is how you can do onboarding, this is how you can do this. It was a very clean page, completely branded them. I even bought the domain for them. I went to the meeting. I did not pitch myself. I started by saying, hey Mike, how are you? I heard a lot about you. Before we start, I did this thing for you that you might be interested in or not. Feel free to throw it out in garbage, but I thought it might be useful. Here's what it is. I collected all your videos on this simple landing page that makes it easy for people to understand Branch. The guy loved it so much, he invited his entire content team to the meeting and asked them, I want my entire email database, 20,000 people, to know about this. Instantly, I established this relationship with him. I asked him, this is what I do. I teach growth and mobile marketing. Do I have your permission to get these videos and teach community about Branch, about how your product works, for free? I was giving them free value. They said, of course. Why would I say no? I said, okay, I just need the permission to use your logo. He gave me the permission. So I went and gave him value and requested the logo. So now I had a partnership with Branch. I put the first logo on my landing page. I went to the complementary business, automation in the mobile space. Exactly the same pitch, the same video, landing page, blah, blah, blah. I got the second one. And then the third one. The third one, I did not do the videos because I had already 2 big brands on board. I started going after bigger brands and bigger brands and bigger brands. In a week, I had 20 big brands, big logos on my landing page. So now I established myself as a trusted company because all these brands work with me. I'm trustworthy. But nobody knew about me yet. What I did, I wanted traffic. So I wanted people who are in the mobile space or in the startup space. My specialty is growth without spending money. I went online, identified meetups that target startups. I outsourced it to the Philippines because it's very cheap there. And in a matter of 24 hours, I had every single meetup in the world that reaches startups. 650,000 founders. I went online and created a tool. I use a tool that creates affiliate links. I started pitching them one by one. Here's what I do. I'm a growth expert in Silicon Valley. I'm working with all these brands. I have this free webinar to teach your community about mobile growth. Are you interested? In fact, if you are, here's an affiliate link that sends people to my online course so that they can buy course, and I'm happy to share the revenue with them. This allowed me to establish relationship with their startups. So I had enough companies, enough meetups say yes. They promoted my webinar to all their user base. In every single webinar, I was able to reach 150,000 people. One thing I forgot to tell you that while talking to Branch, I told them, are you interested in promoting your brand to 100,000 people? Obviously, they're going to say yes. It's for free. So that's why they did business with me. I went on the other side and told them, I have content from so-and-so company. Here's who I am. I have this webinar. It's free. Are you interested? And by the way, you can make money. Every single webinar, I was reaching 150,000 people for free. I was getting, obviously, with the conversion, the percentages, I was getting anywhere between 600 and 900 people live every single webinar. Who was one of the attendees of these webinars? Somebody from 500 startups. That's how everything started. So within literally a couple of weeks, I established myself as a brand in Silicon Valley. From nobody to somebody that 500 was talking to me right now, and all these different companies. So now trust. People trust me. They still don't use the product. Why? Because they find the product complicated. This is so critical. People know you, people trust you, people are interested, they're not using you because your product is complicated. This is where the first time user experience becomes so important. We're going to talk a lot about that as well. This is key. This is where, who's a designer here? Nobody. I'm going to give you a kit. Who's a developer? I'm going to show you why your designers or the designers you outsourced to or you hired is a reason why your company is going to fail. No disrespect to designers, though. Because of this, we're going to talk about it. This is what most apps do. This is how they teach people how the product works. It's a lazy way of teaching people how an app works. These are called coach marks. What do you do when you see this when you install an app? You get rid of it. So this is useless. All it's doing actually is confusing people. So you get rid of it, but you still don't know how to use the product because it's complicated, because the company hasn't invested the right thinking in designing the onboarding experience. It's key to many companies, specifically when it comes to SaaS businesses. The last one, if you did everything perfect, but neglect this last one, which is the case of 99% of companies, you still don't have a business. You have a product, but you're struggling. You don't have growth. The last one is so obvious. People forgot about your product. If you pull up your phones right now and unlock it, you're going to realize you have a lot of screens with apps on them. Swipe to the left, to the rightmost screen. You have a lot of apps you downloaded that you probably forgot about. These apps, at one point in time, you installed, you liked, you enjoyed them, but you stopped using them. The company is failing at reminding you that the product exists. This is where retention becomes so important. So this is what you need to solve for. You need to solve for every single step for you to have growth, for you to have the traction that every investor is looking for. It's easier said than done, but these are the main 6 reasons why companies fail and why people don't use a product. Who wants the presentation at the end, by the way? Okay, so it's a stupid question, I guess. All right. So what is growth? Everyone talks about growth. What is growth? It's actually very simple. It's 2 main components that you need to solve for. It's getting constantly new people in your product, constantly. So the green, get it next time again, and then next time. The yellow, you get it next month and next month. As you stack up new people, and as you retain existing people, that's how eventually you get the growth. So it's basically new people and get them to use your product again. This means you have to be very intentional about keeping users use your product again. Intentional means your system, your growth funnel, everything you're doing is designed to bring them back to the product, not just on the beginning, not just new people. And here's why most companies fail. I don't know how many companies exist here because some people came with their teams. But this is why average 90% of you are going to fail, average-wise. Probably here it's less, but here's why most companies fail. Here's how people come up with the product. It comes with as an idea in somebody's mind, in the founder's mind at some point. And they get excited, they form a team, and they go and build the first product, the first prototype out of it. And then they start doing iterations in the market. They start testing, fixing, and doing iteration. And that's when they think, after it looks shiny and beautiful, they're ready to launch. This is when their marketing starts. This process usually takes anywhere between 2 months to 6 months. Who's done that? And this is where many people don't raise their hand because they're shy. But this is where what most companies do to build a product. When they're doing marketing, here's how they do the marketing. It's the typical marketing model that a lot of companies are facing because everyone copies everyone else. They start with talking to friends and family. They start posting on social media, on Snapchat, on Instagram, on different social media. And then those who are, I call it the honeymoon phase, those who are excited about the product and they're still everything's optimistic and positive, they start spending money on advertising. They send traffic all the way to a conversion point. Usually it's the app store if it's an app, or a landing page to convert people. And they end up with, in the best cases, a 1% conversion. All their attention goes back to the beginning of the funnel to get more people. And they completely neglect retention. This is why most companies are failing. As obvious as this seems, this is why a lot of companies are failing. Because there's no system in this. This is not a system. This is hope marketing. This is like excited marketing, especially those who are spending money on advertising. And I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. When people come to me, they're desperate because they burnt all their money and they wasted so much money on advertising. They're desperate because nothing is working. They're not hitting the growth metrics. This is where also they struggle so much to get covered on TechCrunch, for example. And what happens on TechCrunch? You get a spike and then all the users disappear because you don't have a system. And people cry and cry. I had a friend of mine, he built an app that created this social network around people sharing photos. They were getting every single day 20,000 new users. They got covered by TechCrunch. They got invested by $8 million. Google came and wanted to buy them for $50 million after like 6 or 7 months. He was 23. His co-founder was a genius tech guy. Fast forward a year, they went bankrupt. They closed the shop because they had no system. They were getting all these new users, but there was no activation, as you're going to see. There was no system. They had no retention. They lost. They completely got out of business. They should have sold when it was still high, but they haven't. They got cocky. So what is the system that everyone talks about? What is the system that you need to implement in the business? The system, the growth funnel, the growth system has to be designed to fix leakages at every step of the funnel. Leakages at every stage of the user life cycle. What does that mean, these words? What does it mean? I'm going to give you an example. And you can implement this for your own business. Let's suppose we map out the high-level steps of a user life cycle. Let's imagine that 10,000 people discovered your product, and your product is an app. Out of 10,000, 2,000 got interested and went to the app stores. Out of those, not everyone installed it. Let's assume that 500 installed them, so a quarter of them. From those who install, not everyone registers. Some people get distracted, some people forget, some people get a call, some people go to the bathroom and forget. So let's assume 300 out of the 500 install. Out of those, on day 2 after they install, only 100 people keep using the product. On average, it's not 300, it's close to 40 people only. So let's assume 100 people use it. On day 30, out of the 300 who registered, only 20 people keep using it. So you started with 10,000, you ended up with 20. That's assuming you're tracking everything. The marketing system, the growth system, the funnel you need to implement has to be designed to address each of these leakages, each of these dropouts. In reality, when you look at your product and do it as an exercise, if your team is not here, send them a message. Count every step, every single step a user goes through from landing on the ad or the first message about your product all the way to getting the value you're promising them. So if it's a photo editing app, how many steps they have to go through until they edit their first photo, including if it's a form, sign-up form, how many fields exist. If it's three fields, first name, email, and password, that's 3 steps. On average, companies have anywhere between 15 and 25 steps. Do the job, ask them, and count these steps. The more steps you have, the more you're going to lose people. In fact, at every step, you're going to lose people. Your job is to reduce these steps as much as possible, including the steps after they register. Because you're going to be losing people and you have to fix the leakages at every step. Ideally, you need to have less than 10 steps, ideally. So most people think of conversion, the idea of conversion from sending traffic, okay, it's not working. Sending traffic to a conversion point and eventually converting into users. This is not how it works. In reality, this should be broken into many, many layers. So it's not one conversion point, it's multiple conversion points you have to fix, you have to solve for. Count each one of them and start tracking it and start optimizing each one of them. You have limited resources, you cannot optimize everything. You have to be very choiceful of where you're going to be focusing on. And here's the concept of the one metric that matters most to your business. What is the key KPI, the key performance indicator, the metric you are solving for today? There's a lot of things you need to solve for. But what is the one thing that's going to make the most difference? It could be installs. It could be revenue. It could be signups. It could be leads. You have to identify this today. And you have to solve for it because you cannot solve for everything. You start being choiceful. This month, we're going to focus on getting leads. Next month, we're going to focus on converting the registered users. Third month, we're going to do this. Eventually, your growth funnel has to be designed to address each of these things. And here you have to think that these are not users. These are not numbers. These are humans. The more you can understand humans, the more you're going to succeed in product, in growth, in marketing in general. So humans have very short attention span because it's not just your product. It's thousands of products competing on their attention, starting from Facebook and Google all the way to the smallest companies. So attention is extremely, extremely scarce, very expensive. Because of this, you need to start solving for micro moments, or what I call micro moments. These are very short moments that takes a user each step along the way, eventually to the end of the funnel. What does that mean? If somebody doesn't know your product exists, they're going to give you 0 seconds because your product doesn't exist in their mind. Let's imagine they're on Facebook and you posted a message on Facebook. What they're doing, they're not looking for ads on Facebook. They're scrolling because they want to kill time. Your job is to break their attention from Facebook and refocus it on your ad. This starts with the image. They look at the image, they get interested, they read the headline, they click on it. This takes few seconds, 5 seconds. A lot of it happens unconsciously. So now you have only 5 seconds. Everything you've built, the 6 months of building a product, lies on these first 5 seconds. These 5 seconds are not designed to sell the product. They're designed to take them to the next step. If they're interested, they're going to land on a landing page or the App Store. There, they're going to give you 10 seconds or 15 seconds because they got interested. If they're interested, they're going to move to the next step where they're going to give you more time, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Think of it yourself. This started by you reading one message, maybe on Twitter. It took you maybe a few seconds. You clicked on it, you got on the landing, I don't know what was the funnel, on Meetup or a landing page. You read it, you gave me more time, maybe 10, 15 seconds. You registered. Give me more time. And now you're giving me 90 minutes of your time. 90 minutes. That's why I do workshops. That's why I do webinars. But I'm not selling anything here, so don't worry. So the idea is the deeper you take a user in the life cycle, in the funnel, the more time they're going to give you. Obviously, like every product, it comes to a certain maturity and it dies. I stopped drinking Coca-Cola, for example. But I used to drink Coca-Cola a lot. So my time with Coca-Cola is here now. But at one point, it was here. I kept drinking regularly. So there's going to be a point where the lifetime value of a product expires. But you should not worry about this. You should worry about constructing your marketing, your funnel, your communication into micro steps. Another example. A lot of you guys, who uses email marketing here? Many companies do this mistake of selling the whole product in the email. The email has to be constructed so that the subject line needs to be vague enough to inspire curiosity to get them to open the email. The email, you should not sell the product there. Because if they read the subject line, they might see it, they might take what, 1 second, 2 seconds to read it? And then they're going to open it and read the body of the email. They're going to give you a few more seconds there. That's the next step, maybe 10 seconds. The purpose of the email is to take them to the next step. You have to create these, they call open loops. You have to keep them curious to move to the next step. This is what Hollywood uses to keep you planted on your seat for 2 hours while watching a movie. They keep you hooked because they keep you wanting to know more and more and more and more. You have to use the same strategy in your marketing. A lot of people put in the subject line the whole purpose of the email. They describe the whole email in the subject line. What do you think people are going to do? They saw a launch of a new product or new feature, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to open the email because they know what the value. What do you think is the most popular subject line I use in my emails? Say anything.
No subject.
No subject, it looks like spam.
You don't want to miss this.
Maybe.
Question? And then the RE colon.
This works once. The most popular, and it's been so misused that people ignore it. It looks like spam sometimes even. The most popular email, and you're going to see it when you get emails from me, is simply, hey. It's friendly enough to get people to want to know, like, what is this hey? Who's saying what? The next hack I use in email, the very first sentence, I never start with, my name is Nagi Salloum, blah, blah, blah. I never start with that. Because what happens in email is that you get the sender, you get the subject line, and right below it, in light gray, you have the first sentence of the email. It's also a way for them to want to open the email or not. I thought you might be interested in this, blah, blah, blah. So this I thought you might be interested in 3 points is what they see in their inbox. They click on it, they read it. We can have a whole session on email marketing, but this is how I construct my email marketing. 1 second to the subject line, hey, more seconds in the email, in the body, click to move to the next step, which is maybe a landing page. I have more 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and then I construct. This is how you need to construct your entire funnel. Because you understand humans, because you are humans, this is how you operate. If you're selling your whole product right off the bat, then you're gonna do yourself a misservice. Nobody's gonna continue in the funnel. Keep them curious to know more and more about the product. So to summarize these reasons, everything you know about marketing and everything I've been saying now, it really boils down to 4 different stages. Everything, any product, any company has to address these 4 stages. The first one is positioning. The second one is acquisition. Third one is activation and retention. Most companies focus on the second one. Almost every company I've seen, they neglect this one, and they kind of do the first one quickly. And some do force, but a lot of them also neglect it. Unless you do each one of them, you're not mastering growth. You're not building a machine that's constantly growing your business. So what is positioning? Positioning basically addresses the question is, what do you stand for? And the answer for this usually is represented by simple words. What do you think Uber is? What is Uber?
Technology company.
Maybe, but how do you describe Uber to your young sister, for example? What is Uber?
Cars on demand.
Gets me to places.
What's that?
Taxi.
No, service.
A taxi that takes you places anytime you want it, for example, right? A tap of a button, you can call it taxi. So this is the positioning. Each one of you have their own definition, the words they use in their mind to describe a product. It's been used and consistently across all their marketing to focus on this. This is what the product does. If you notice, it's never, ever, ever about you. It's never about your product. It's never about your features. Let me put it straight. Nobody cares about your product. Nobody. And I keep saying it because it's so true. Nobody except maybe one person. Who is it? Huh?
Your son, your daughter.
Your mother. Everyone, they don't care. They care about the value they're getting out of your product. You don't care about me. You don't care whether I'm successful or not, whether I'm injured or you don't care. What you care about is what you're going to get out of me, value out of me, how you're going to benefit. Why is this important? Because everything you design, your communication, everything has to be a value, a benefit to the end user, to the end reader. Most people end up promoting their own features, their own product, their own benefits. It's wrong. And you're going to have multiple audiences in your product. You're going to serve multiple different audiences and target groups. I haven't seen a company that focuses on only one segment. The challenge is which segment you focus on, because you need to focus on one segment. You have to choose. Start with the one that resonates the most in the business. And here you have to go back to day one in the whole life of the company. When you came up with the idea, in what context were you in when you faced this problem? Why did you decide to focus on this problem? Who was facing this problem? What audience was facing this problem? Which audience is resonating the most in your business? If you don't know, experiment with multiple audiences, but choose one audience. When you choose one audience, you have to focus on who knows the concept of vitamins and painkillers. Who's heard of it? Who has had headache over the past 6 months, like an annoying headache or a toothache or pain? Okay, some of you here. What do you do when you have a toothache or a headache? You immediately go and get a painkiller. When you have a migraine, you can't think of anything. You want to get a painkiller. There's a very severe pain that's crippling you. You're not thinking of a nice-to-have vitamin that has all these nutrients. You're thinking of, I want to kill the pain. I cannot think of anything. I want to kill the pain. Your job is to position your product as a painkiller, not as a vitamin, as a nice-to-have.
But then the fun thing is that I actually eat that every day.
Yeah, there are people who eat that every day, but it's so you might have a reason why you're having it every day. You might have an underlying pain or a fear of a problem that's going to happen to you. I'm not saying you don't. What I'm saying is, if you present two people, one has a headache and a pain and a migraine, a painkiller for them and a vitamin, they're not going to think of the vitamin. They're going to think of the painkiller. Unless you position your product as a painkiller, not as a vitamin, which is a nice to have. Like if you stop your vitamins right now, anything happens in your life?
Not much.
Not much. But if you have a migraine,
People believe in vitamins. They eat it every day because they know that it will make their life.
they think they know. They just believe the marketing. We can talk about the vitamins. It's a whole scam, by the way. So unless you position your business as a painkiller, as a must-have, you're going to struggle in convincing people about the problem, about the product. But how do you do it? It's not about the feature. You're never selling a quarter-inch hole drill. It's not about the drill itself. I want a hole. I don't care about the tool. I just want a hole in my wall. So you have to focus on the end benefit, the end result of the tool, the product you're building, actually. This means the way you describe the benefit, the way you describe your end result is hugely important in the funnel, in the marketing. So the words you use, whether it's in Arabic or in English or in any language, the words you use are the currency of your business, of your entire marketing. So in marketing and in business, you have different words, obviously. Different words have different meanings. Different words have different emotions. When you trigger the right emotions, you can lead it to an action. I'm going to give you an example of how words are completely different. I'm going to give you two words. Tell me which words evokes more emotions in you. A shark or fish? Which evokes more emotions in you, a shark or fish? Shark. The same concept exists in the words in English or Arabic, the words you use in your business. Different words evokes different emotions, and emotions leads to action. I'm going to illustrate how this is so important in your marketing and how the choice of words you use makes a huge difference. Let's imagine you have a bad headline, which is a headline you just wrote on the fly, and you have a good headline where you invested time crafting the headline to suit your audience. And let's imagine both have the exact same visibility, 10,000 people saw them. A poorly written headline can convert 0.05%. This means 5 people out of 10,000. A very well-crafted headline where you spend time identifying the audience, the pain, turn it into benefits, choosing the right words, can convert 2%. I've had headlines that converted 20%. Without spending a single extra dollar or effort on the good headline, if you just invest in writing the right way, you can increase 40 times your growth. Imagine you do it at every single step of the funnel. The problem is that most people are not doing that. They're completely neglecting writing. Now, who's a copywriter here? Nobody. I'm not a copywriter. Copywriting is hard. Nobody was born a copywriter. The good thing about this whole thing is that this problem has been solved many, many, many years ago, decades ago. There are already headlines, formats, or formulas that are proven to lead to action. Who knows BuzzFeed? So BuzzFeed is a very popular news site. They're masters at this. They use so many proven headlines to lead you to open up the article. From there, they hook you into the other articles. And it's a multi-billion-dollar company. Like BuzzFeed, many companies are already using proven headlines. I'm one of them. I never start from scratch. So these are just 3 out of hundreds of formulas for writing headlines in copy. There's the format of the how-to, like how to write content that glues your reader to your page, like how to a task with a benefit. There's the are you with a question mark. Question marks lead people to want to know the answer. It opens up a loop in their mind. And people are adverse to keeping something open. They want to have the answer. They want to know what's going to happen next. That's why you keep watching a movie in Hollywood. So question marks is a great way to lead them to the next step in the funnel. I use that also a lot. This one, number 2, that's why I skipped number 2. I converted this one, and it's hard to believe, but it's real. I converted this one into a house. I bought a house with this headline. This was the opening headline that got people to the landing page, like in an email, to a landing page that I also used, that people subscribed to my webinar, that I opened my webinar with, that I sold access to my academy with, which was a subscription-based business. I made money, it was passive income, I went and bought money, I bought the house with that money. Everything I've done started with that headline. I got 500 startup because of this headline. The way I crafted my emails and my communication to all these different companies when I started in Silicon Valley I spent literally weeks crafting my every single word, weeks. Because I knew the more I invest time in there, the more it's going to lead to a result. I never start an email and send it right away. When I do that, I save it, I revisit it the second day. Because I invest a lot of time in writing. Like these 3 headlines, there's lots of power words and power verbs. These are words that evoke emotions or actions. You're going to have access to this.
لازم أسئلة should be in a question format?
No. Depending on the concept, but it should not always be the case. I collected a lot of these words from online, a lot of them. Hundreds and hundreds of headlines. This is a big list. It's big, it's much bigger than this, basically. But I never start from scratch for like an empty page. I take from different places, I recycle, I use them, and I actually prepared. It takes me a week to prepare this content, but I can use it now in different stages. So I identify one audience. This audience, what problems are they facing? If you have multiple audiences, you have to do this exercise to multiple audiences, because each audience has a different problem. Then you identify the problem, then you identify the benefits that your product offers. Once you identify that, you turn these benefits into headlines. You spend time recrafting them in headlines that lead people to take an action. Only when you drafted these right headlines, then you're ready to use them in marketing. You don't just write ads on Power Editor because you want to send it now. You have to spend like a week preparing this whole list, and then you do it. Once you do this whole exercise, then you choose, I'm going to send an email, I'm going to send in advertising, in ads, I'm going to do it in social media, on the App Store, on the website. This is positioning. This is how you start. If you're not doing this, you're losing a lot. You're wasting a lot of time and money. Once you do that, you move to the next step, which is the acquisition. Acquisition is simply the process of getting consistently new people in the business. It's a consistent and repeatable way to attract new people to the business. It's all the distribution channels you're going to use. I like to focus on free. It's so easy to spend money on advertising. When I had big budgets, I just put the budget on the side, and I think of all the free ways I can market my product, like I did with the meetups, like I do in every single business I am. The most important thing you want to focus on is repeatable channels, repeatable distribution channels. When you go on TechCrunch, you have one bullet. That's it. Then what? What are you going to do? And most often, when you go on TechCrunch, you haven't fixed your funnel. So you waste a lot of money because the PR usually gets you there, or you wasted time just waiting for it. You go up, and then you have no users anymore. And then you lost marketing because you don't have any other way of marketing yourself because it's not repeatable. And when you spend money on advertising, it's so expensive. I don't know about the rates here, but usually a qualified lead, $5, $10, $15 to get a qualified lead. The more complicated it is, the product is, the more expensive the lead is. But that's just the lead. It's not even revenue from the lead. So avoid as much as possible spending money on advertising, even if you're still in the honeymoon phase. The riskiest phase you should be spending money on. So you should focus on distribution channels. These are all the ways you're going to take your message and spread them in the market. Distribute your message in the market to reach your audiences. You can do content marketing, you can do direct advertising, you can do app store optimization. Who knows what ASO is? Who has a mobile app here? So whoever has a mobile app, you need to understand app store optimization. Who knows what SEO is? Search engine optimization. ASO, app store optimization, is like SEO, but for your app stores. It's how you optimize the keywords, the images, the description, the backlinks to your app on the app stores. It's very important in many cases. You can do also SEO. Media outreach, affiliate marketing, customer service also is critical in the early stages because if the product delivers, people will talk about it. But if the product fails and is is leading people to be angry is going to spread much faster. Negative reviews spread much faster, but positive reviews also spread. Zappos, who knows Zappos? The e-commerce company that sells shoes. Zappos started purely on customer support. Amazon lives on customer support. So don't neglect customer support as a key channel to market your product. Referral, BD partnerships, events, when you can start exchanging different, like if you have a product and you know others who have a product, but you don't compete, you complement your services, exchange banners, help each other out. Tell them, I'm going to promote you if you promote me, and have different banners, different deep links. You can start exchanging different banners with other businesses as well, for free.
Nagi, if you may want to touch a little bit on events.
Event, yes.
You have a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a common thing that a lot of people here participate in events, but it's just being there. The way is quite different. If you could just highlight how you think about it, it's worth sharing.
What most tech companies do, they go in and they rush to tech events. Most tech companies don't have startups as their audience. They go to these tech events and they start pitching their product. Who goes to these tech events? Other startups, other entrepreneurs. These are not your audience. Most people do this mistake of going to an event and start pitching the product. When you think about it, when you go to an event, you're so busy, you're so in the mind of, I want to pitch, I want to pitch, I want to pitch. You end up collecting a lot of business cards. Where does this stack of business cards end up being? Mostly in some drawer or in the garbage eventually. The purpose of an event, A, is to identify who's going to this event. In tech events, now STEP is coming to Riyadh on the 25th of March. And we have these 20 companies in the accelerator right now. So they're going to show up there. They start thinking, oh, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go there, because it's useless. It's not useless. Who's going to these events? Media and investors, and obviously other startups. The purpose of these events, again, is the funnel, is the micro moments. When you're talking to a person, A, you have to understand who's this person in front of you. Why is this person interesting to talk to you? Don't pitch. Never pitch immediately. Understand who's the person. Be extremely selfish in your time when you go to an event. The purpose of the event is not to pitch. The purpose of the event, once you find somebody interesting and interested, is to get you a meeting outside the event. Don't hijack this person for 15, 20 minutes to pitch them your product and convince them how your product works. Give them enough, like the subject line, give them enough information so that they want to know more. And now you have a business card. On the spot, you schedule a meeting. On the spot, because you're going to lose the momentum, you're going to lose the interest, you're going to forget. What I do, when I have somebody interesting, I talk to them, I ask them questions before I pitch them. Here's what I do. I know you're very busy right now. I'm going to tell you in 30 seconds what I do, or in 1 minute what I do, but I'm not going to pitch you right now. I'm not going to pitch you because I know you're very busy. If you're interested, I would love to have a chance with you to tell you more about it over a video call or in person. And most likely they're going to tell me yes. I free them, now I have a meeting with them. The meeting never happens. Your job is to constantly follow up after that. But I use automation as well. I know when the person has opened my email or not. I keep following up until I have a meeting. Usually it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the event. In the event, my philosophy is to hijack the event. It's to steal the show. I'm going to give you an idea of what I did. I don't know if you remember, Mazen, with ArabNet, the first ArabNet in the region. So Omar came and then said, ArabNet and blah, 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 and we have a $30,000 or $50,000 sponsorship fee. I said, you know, I destroyed the whole sponsorship. I told them I want, besides the tickets that we got for our founders, I want to be on stage once I want to put a business card on every single chair. How much would that cost me? He said, nothing. I said, okay. Because we already bought like 10 or 15 tickets to it. So I literally paid nothing. I convinced one store to give me an iPad, the new iPad, for free. On the cards, I put a riddle. It was an English sentence, an English question, but written in Arabic characters. The question was, how many birthdays did Ahmad Shawqi have? But it was written in Arabic, which was gibberish Arabic. And people thought, oh, it's so complicated. I said, whoever answers this question, at the end of the ArabNet, we're going to give them this free iPad. Everyone, for 2 days, was talking about this riddle. Everyone. People thought that they answered it. So at the end of the first day, I went on stage. Who answered this question? And asked them to tweet about it. Oh, 64, 65. I said, whoever answers 63 or 64, 65 is wrong. Keep thinking. So that was the open loop for them to keep thinking, so that next day I go on stage and inform them. The answer was 1. It was 1 birthday. The others were anniversaries. So it was a riddle in a riddle. The riddle in a riddle. So people thought I answered it by figuring out that Arabic was English. But they didn't know that there was another riddle in it. This kept everyone talking throughout the whole conference. And you're talking about the first ArabNet. You had tons of sponsors there. Everyone was talking about N2V. Everyone was talking about this riddle. It cost me nothing. The other thing I did, I had a small remote control car in another event. I think it was in Jordan. Tiny, small remote control car that I was driving, and it had the banners around it. And I started driving it around people. I had another remote control truck. I removed all the body from it. I put a carton box with candies on it, and it felt like a box was driving on its own in the whole thing. And it said, pick one candy, it's a courtesy of N2V. And people said, well, how the hell is this box walking alone? The last thing I did, I was a drone. I took a drone. It was just new drones. And I started flying it. That was a bit annoying. During speeches, I started flying it next to people. And I was hidden. So people saw this drone, it was branded, and I started driving around people. Another thing I did, which actually was not annoying at all, I negotiated 1 placement for 1 roll-up banner, just 1. And it was here, behind the speaker. That's all I wanted. What I knew was going to happen is that everyone's going to take pictures of the speaker. What was showing behind the speaker was the brand. When you take a picture, you put it on social media. I got all the exposure, basically. So my job is to think, how can I hijack this event? You're going to see in step. I'm going to find ways to get visibility to the entrepreneurs in 500 startups. Because I think this way. I never sponsor. I never go and pitch. I always think of ways to attract attention to the business I'm promoting. I always also know who's the audience of these events. What am I getting out of this event? So I do a lot of preparation ahead of time to get myself ready in the event. So in growth, you have to think about funnels in acquisition. Most people are okay with a 1% conversion, which is the average, which is the standard. What does 1% conversion mean? 1% conversion means, sorry, I got dizzy. 1% conversion means 99% of people, لا في مي. It means 99% of people did not use your product, correct? You just flip it. That's another very important concept for you to know. Out of the 99% people, it doesn't mean 99% of people are not interested in your product. It might just simply mean the timing was not right. It's not because you are interested in doing business that they are interested. The Eternity company that worked with me, I nurtured them over 4 months. It's not because I pitched them and I told them this is what I do, and this is how I can help you. They decided to do business with me. It was not like that. I kept nurturing relationship. Every week or 2 weeks, I kept sending them a message of how they can improve their marketing. Because I knew it's only when they were ready they're going to do business with me. Same thing for your own businesses. It's only if they're interested and they're ready and the time is perfect for them, they're going to do business with you. How many people signed up to this talk? This one. 311 واحد signed up. How many are in the room? Less.
60.
Yeah, so out of 360 people showed up. Why? The timing probably ended up not being perfect. They thought it's going to be perfect. There's a Hilal game. Oh, what is it?
Hilal and Qatar.
There's a Hilal game. There's somebody who got sick, somebody who got a horrible day at work. The timing is not going to be good for them. They didn't show up. It doesn't mean that next time we do a workshop or a talk, they're not going to show up. Same thing applies to your own business. That's why funnels are so important for you. The purpose of funnels is to keep the relationship going, is to maintain this relationship. Another example, who knows Hotspot, the VPN? They just raised $260 million. And they want to expand into the region. Hotspot VPN, it's a Hotspot Shield, whatever it's called. Huh? Hotspot Shield, whatever it's called. They're expanding to the region. They raised $260 million. They talked to us. Can you help us? We literally reached the point of signing the contract to help them. And then they disappeared. That was 3 months ago. I said, it's fine to my friend. I told him, fine, it's fine. They're probably busy. Something happened. They just emailed us last week saying, we're interested. We had restructuring. Somebody left suddenly the company and we couldn't do business with you guys. Now we're interested again. I did not forget them. We did not forget them. We kept the relationship going. We did not pitch them. We did not follow up with them. We kept telling them, here's what you could do. Meanwhile, here's what's happening in the region. I knew that when they are ready, they're going to do business with me. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to do business. It just might mean that out of the 99%, maybe you can get 20% of them. But it's not nobody.
Sorry, question. You said you know that you don't have to pitch them; they will come back, right?
You have to maintain the relationship.
Right, sure. But you did not follow back or call them, hey, you haven't responded back to us or whatever. How did you know about that?
About what?
That they will come back. And
No. It's always 10% pitch, 90% follow-up. But when they said, when they start ignoring our emails, I said, I use this trick, which is last email in the subject line. We understand you're very busy. We don't want to keep pushing you. We don't want to annoy you. It's reverse psychology. That's why this is going to be the last email about this subject. If you're still interested in benefiting from our expertise and knowledge in the market to help you grow, we'd be happy to chat. If not, please let us know so we can put closure to this.
thank you.
So this email, 90% of time, if not more, gets a reply. It's a very short reply, maybe 2 emails. We're very busy right now. We're having a lot of restructuring given something that happened. We'll get back to you when the time is right. At least I know what's going on. The subject last email almost always works. So the goal is to maintain the relationship, to keep helping them, to maintain the goodwill with them, not keep pushing in sales, selling yourself. Because at one point, they're going to come back. Some will, some won't. So your job is to create content, publish content, invite them. Many of the companies, when I was doing the agency for blockchain, they were not ready because they were still in the honeymoon phase. They thought they could do marketing. They just wanted to know more about us because our email outreach was so good. They were just not ready. I did not ignore. I told them, we're doing free webinars about so-and-so. Would you be interested in attending these webinars? 100% of the time they said yes. So we put them in the email for webinars. We maintain the relationship. 20%, 30% eventually end up being a customer of us. We don't forget about them. So you create content, you publish content, you follow up, and some of them are eventually going to convert. You could use email, you can use Facebook retargeting, you can use Facebook messaging, whatever messaging you have, you could use it eventually to keep a relationship. You can use Twitter, but don't neglect them, okay? So that's a use case of a Birchbox. It's a company that you subscribe to, they send you a box full of samples, beauty samples. And I knew about this company for a while. I landed on their YouTube, which is all about content, beauty tips for women. When I saw their content, it was so good. It's nothing to do about buying the subscription. It was so good that I subscribed my wife to it. It was content, nothing selling, just teaching stuff, beauty tips. And I went and bought it, and then eventually my wife started getting in, and she kept subscribed for 2 years until we changed house. So this is acquisition. This is where everyone stops. Now you move to the activation. The activation is where a lot of companies stop. Is where your designers are killing your business. I'll tell you why. I'm not. So activation is the process of getting somebody who just registered to use your app and getting the value of the app. Everything you've been doing up to this point is a promise. Messaging, promising this and this and this and this and this, promising the value of the app, you're going to get this and this and this. Okay, I believe you, I trust you. I use the product. Let's say it's complicated. I went through it, but I still don't get the value out of it. I'm not an active user. Let me illustrate why designers are killing your business. Designers don't understand the concept of activation because nobody taught them. What do designers do? Let's say it's a full-time employee. You hire a designer. For them, it's a job. Again, these are humans. Like everything else you're going to be doing, you're going to think about humans. Their job is to maintain their job, basically. What they're thinking is, I don't want to lose my job. I want to deliver good work to keep getting the salary, the kind of stable income for me. What is a good job in their mind? They design a profile page or a dashboard or analytics that has all the pictures, all the beautiful analytics, all the colors, everything is full, everything is complete, everything looking beautiful. They send it to you guys. You look at it, oh, it looks good, change the colors, what if we put the graph here, the profile picture looks odd, blah, blah, blah. And then you approve it. But this is the problem. Who is actually seeing these beautiful profile pages, these dashboard that has all these different graphs and colors? Who's actually seeing them? It's a very small fraction of people. It's those who are very active in the business. What do 100% of people see? Empty pages. The profile page is still empty. The dashboard is still empty. A page that has only buttons and icons. This is what 100% of people see. The problem, your designers, because they don't understand the concept of empty states, they haven't designed this for you. Because you don't understand the concept of empty states, you haven't asked for it. What ends up happening is that people go to the end, they register, they go to the app, whether it's a web app or a mobile app, it doesn't matter. They're clueless, they don't understand what to do. They just get rid of this coach mark, they have no idea what to do. It's empty. I click here, what's the first step, what's the second step, what do I do? Because I have very short attention span, because I don't know your product, I don't have familiarity with the product, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to close it and move on. So everything you've done up to the activation phase is completely lost, wasted. Unless you're solving for activation, you still don't have a business. On average, if you've done everything perfect, everything, with the positioning, with the messaging, with the partnership, with advertising, everything perfect, up to this point, on average, by day 2 of your product, of somebody registering, the second day or day 2, you're going to lose 80% of people. You're going to keep 20% of everyone who registered. That's if you did everything perfect. That's why you need to invest in activation. So if you have around 20% by day 2, you're average. Don't worry, don't panic. But you can improve it. So what is the activation? At the end of the day, it's a promise. You promised me something. You promised me the best photo editing tool. I still don't understand. I still don't have the ability to edit it the right way. You promised me to sell products online. It's so complicated, I don't know how to use it. And because it's a self-serve tool, The company did not invest in the right sales force to guide every single company. They're expecting every person to know how to do it themselves. So you promised me something, you're not delivering on it. Registration, that's also a big factor why companies stop. The registration is complicated or it's buggy. The welcome email, this is how you welcome them. The onboarding plan, the first time you experience, this is where the aha moment. The first 30 seconds in your product, first 30 seconds, is critical for the success. Unless you solve for the onboarding, how to use the product, without telling me, by showing me, you're gonna lose them. And if you have a complicated product, break it down. Break it down day 1, day 2, day 3. Don't expect them to finalize the whole onboarding in one setting. Again, the micro moments. They got to a point where they're gonna give you maybe 40 seconds, maybe 1 minute. What can they achieve in 1 minute? So that the second day, they continue. So in this 1 minute, you need them to finish at least one important feature. And you can continue the second day or the second time they come back to the product. Don't sell the whole thing from the get-go. And we talked about the empty states. That's a company that offers project management. It's a company that has probably 20 engineers. They spent millions of dollars, millions building the product. I found them on SEO. I went and I Googled and I got them and I registered and I ended up here. What do you think I did when I ended up here? I clicked on the X. I want to get rid of this. I want to use the product. Don't tell me how to use the product. Show me how to use the product. When I clicked the X, there were so many buttons, so many ways of using the product. I get so confused. I closed it and went to look for another one. The company spent millions of dollars up to a point, months and months building it, but they lost me because of this. Imagine how critical this. Everything you've been dreaming about, your entire sacrifices, your compromises, your dreams, the millions of dollars you dream about, everything lies on this. Everything, if you think about it this way. So unless you're solving for onboarding and activation, you don't have a business. This is why your designers, the ones you're hiring, is killing the business, because you have to guide them and they have to guide you on how to structure the onboarding. That's another thing that's a big problem. When you, it's a very simple way for me to find, back when I was consulting, companies I want to help. I install the app, and then the first thing I see is this request to allow notification. First thing, I haven't seen the product, I haven't experienced, I didn't get any value out of the product. You're asking me to give you permission to spam me? Of course not, I'm gonna say no. So I'm gonna say don't allow. This don't allow is limiting the company from using push notification to remind me to come back to the product. So they lost a major channel to bring me back to the product. The solution is very simple. Either delay it until I have a good experience, or tell me why you want me to request it. Do you want to receive notification every time we have an offer about new bookings or special booking? You want to be the first to know about it? Yes. Okay, I'm going to give you permission. That's a very common mistake people do when they're building apps. It's not just for this, it's for the microphone, for the GPS location, for all these notifications.
Most of it is actually part
I mean,
of the App Store.
oh,
Sorry, most of it is actually part of the App Store, where when you upload the app, for it to get approved, you need to manually show the notification.
so what's the question? I didn't get it.
No, I'm saying that the reason that these notifications come is because the App Store make it mandatory for you to have these notifications.
I'm not saying no.
Yeah.
You need this.
In the beginning itself.
Yeah, I'm just saying you have to delay it. This was the first thing I saw when I opened the app.
That's actually part of being mandatory from the app stores.
No, not really actually. You don't have to have it the first screen. Many apps delay it at the end. I need to have a good experience. For example, they could have done it after I do the booking. Do you want us to remind you about the booking 2 days before the actual booking date? Yes, please. Now I want them to remind me. But this seems I'm gonna spam the hell out of you. In fact, the opt-in rate for push notification is less than 20%. And this is not just for this, it's for the microphone, it's for the location, it's for the camera. So all the native requests. That's part of the activation, by the way. So what happens if your product requires location and you show me this and I don't know the product yet? Chances I'm going to say no, don't allow. The next thing is going to be, we need your permission for location so we can give you a list of all the bookings. And then the link back to the settings. Almost no one goes back to the setting to change the permission there. So if I say don't allow for a key or key request, they lost me as a user. And that's what most companies neglect to do. They don't think like humans. They just request everything from the user from the get-go. So if you've done everything perfect, everything we've been talking about up to this point, you still don't have a business.
Nagi, please touch more, if you could touch more on the empty states, because I don't think it's, if you could also, just a little bit.
So the empty state is very simple. I landed on the app. There are 5 icons, 6 buttons, so many ways I could use the product. Where do I start? Unless you have designed the very first screen that everyone's going to land on, and you intentionally designed for the first action you want them to take, and then the next one, and then the next one, completely forgetting about the colorful dashboard and the filled profile. Forget about these. I don't want to focus on the 1% of people. I want to focus on 100% of people. 100% are going to see the empty page. From the 100%, maybe 90% going to go to the next step. What is this next step? What do you want people to do? Literally, take the first screen to a new person and tell them what is the key action you want to take here. They can tell you, I don't know. It's going to help you reflect that, you know what, it's so complicated. Of course they don't know. You live the product, you sleep the product, you eat the product, you caca the product, you do everything with the product. You live the product. They don't. So the empty state is simply starting from step 0 in the product. And then what is step 1? What do you want them to do? Focus your whole design on that. And then step 2, and then step 3, and then step 4. If they don't do step 1, what do you want them to do? Okay? This is the empty state. It's very important for you guys. So if you solve for empty state, for the onboarding, for the first time experience, for the messaging, for the profiling, you still don't have a business. You still don't have traction. You don't have growth. You need to solve for retention. Retention is basically, how do you bring people back to the product? How do you keep them using the product again? If you rely on the fact they're going to use it again because they enjoyed it the first time, you're lost. You should not rely on hope marketing. You should intentionally bring them back to the product. There's a lot of ways you could do it. Push notification is one of them for mobile apps. Now you have the browser notification as well. You could use email marketing. Do not neglect email marketing. Email is still a key channel in many businesses. Even if they have not opened the email, the sender name can remind them that the product still exists, and eventually could be used unconsciously to remind them to use it again. But obviously you need them to open the email. So track your emails, the open rate, the click-through rate, segment your audiences, and focus on different segments with different messages. You need reasons to talk to them. Offers is one of them. Surveys, simply a thank you message. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened that I keep talking about it even a couple of years later. I'm an active user, I was at least, of MailChimp. Who knows MailChimp, the email system? So they had an automation tool where you pay $10, now it's free. So you pay $10 to use it. I was one of them. And I've been using it for a few years. Started free and then become paid. One day out of the blue, I get an email from MailChimp during the holidays saying thank you. Thank you for what? I opened the email. And they're literally thanking me for being a happy customer with MailChimp. And we have a gift for you. What is the gift? It's socks. It's socks with the monkey icon on it. Red socks during the holidays. We'd love for you to send us your address so we can send you these socks. Okay, it's cute, it's funny. I put my address. They send me the socks. I kept wearing them at home. Why is this so genius? A, they collected my address. B, I was reminded of MailChimp even when I was not using MailChimp. Just by seeing it in the drawer of socks, red with the chimp on it, and my wife asking, what is this? And I'm using it in my workshop as a demo. Look how genius this idea was. How much did it cost them? Maybe $50. But they targeted the happy customer and they told me thank you. They just needed a reason for me to talk to them. You can run sweepstakes, you can run campaigns. Target your happy customers, those who are using your product the most often. These are the pillars of your business. Identify them, call them, profile them. Who are these people? Why are they using the product? Thank them, reward them. Have a separate message to these people from everyone else. Don't send them the same messages like the one you're sending to everyone. These are your business. Ask them for referrals as well. So context and top of mind are also extremely important. So you want to own top of mind awareness about your product, and you want to own a context. I'm going to give you an example of what I did at Tango. So at Tango, it was a communication tool. WhatsApp was entering the market, Facebook had it, different companies, Line was there, Viber was there. I wanted to increase the active users only by 1 extra time. So if they were calling 3 times a week, I want them to call 1 extra time. As simple as this seemed, 1 extra time, this was 25% increase in the business. And this is not just for the Tango, we did it at Procter & Gamble globally. I want them to shower 1 extra time. Depending on the frequency of the business, 1 extra time could be double of your business. Could be 35%, could be 25%, if you just focus on this. So I looked at the data, and I noticed that people call during the weekend. I want them to call more often during the weekend. For a period of time, I kept hammering Saturdays, mornings, call family. Call your mom, reconnect with your brother, call your this. I looked at occasions like Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever day, Women's Day. So for a period of time, I kept hammering the message, Saturday morning equal Tango. After a period of time, I turned off the marketing. The context of calling family and love and reconnect with the family on Saturday morning was equal to Tango call. So I owned that segment. This context was now equal to Tango. And I lifted organically by 25% the business. So you need to own a context. What context does Uber own? Uber owns, I want to go, like today, I was freaking out. I was late in the office. I wanted to be here on time. He told me to be here at 6:45. At 6:40, I was still in the office. What do you think I was thinking of? I needed to get here as fast as possible. I did not think of my colleagues to drop me here. I did not think of a taxi cab. I thought of Uber. Uber owns, in my mind, getting from point A to point B as fast and as reliable as possible. They own this in my mind. They don't have to advertise it anymore. This brings me to the point of, go back to day 0 in the business. In what context were you in when you faced the problem that got you to think, I want to solve this problem? What was it? When did you face it? What were you doing? Go back to that moment and reflect right now, in what situation are people in? What are they thinking? What are they feeling when they're facing the problem my product is solving? And when can you own that? The minute you own that context, for example, in your case, I want to sell more because I'm going at home, I'm stressed about income and bringing food to the family, I'm limited by my options, I see this whole online selling, I don't know how to do anything about it. I'm stressed out, I'm frustrated, I'm scared. If you own this context, I'm going to help you sell online so you can put food on the table, so you sleep peacefully at night. The minute you own that, that's it. You don't need to advertise anymore. So as much as possible, relate your solution to a context associated with emotions. What would people feel when they have the product, when they have the solution in their hands? The minute you own that context, you can stop advertising. You can stop your marketing. Which relates to top of mind awareness, because now you own that context. The minute they think about the problem, they think about your solution. top of mind. That's why Procter & Gamble spends on average per hour globally $1 million on TV, $1 million. Because there's a high correlation between top of mind awareness and market share. If I tell you, ask you, which product solves dandruff, القشري, which product you think of? Mamsa. This is not by chance after 40 years of Head & Shoulders in the market. The reason why it's Head & Shoulders is because unconsciously or consciously or it's been in your childhood without you knowing, they have every single day an ad on TV. They hammer advertising across all different channels because the correlation between top of mind awareness, which was exactly what you just did, to market share is 80%. That's why Unilever, as much as they're fighting, they cannot steal more market share from Head & Shoulders. Unless they double the investment on TV, which they cannot because they have very limited ad space on TV. So the top of mind awareness is what you need to own eventually about your category. Once you own that, you can turn off advertising as well. But you have to maintain it, obviously. So that's why context and top of mind is important. PR in of itself is not going to get you any users. The reason why you might want to do PR, and there's a lot of ways you can do it for free without hiring an agency. In fact, don't hire an agency. If you have who owns a PR agency here? Okay, good. Is because it's a way to get your brand in the market. Unconscious people see it, they read about it, without you having to spend money on it. But don't spend money on hiring an agency to do it. It's a waste of money. You can do it yourself. So once you do these things, once you have a system to remind people about the product, to bring them back to the product, now you have a retention system in place. And once you have the retention system in place, then you solve for all the different stages. Now you have positioning, you have acquisition, you have activation, and you have retention. Now you can start thinking about growth. And your job is to measure everything and start optimizing, because it's constant changing, constant fixing, constant optimization, constant measuring. Your resources are limited, so you have to focus on where you want to focus. A lot of companies are still on the positioning stage. They're stuck and struggling there without them knowing. Those who have solved for acquisition, they're not able to solve for acquisition. They're able, and like the reason I was late, there's a company that is in Kuwait. They're struggling with this. It's a multi-million-dollar company. They raised multi-million dollars. They said, we don't have a problem in top of the funnel, which is the leads and the acquisition. We're not able to convert them into active users, into paying users. The problem is in the first-time experience. That's why they don't have a business yet. So don't neglect any of these stages. Once you solve for each of these stages, once you map out every single step, measure where are people dropping off, focus on one metric in a certain period of time, solve for it, and then move on to the next one, then the next one, then you have a business, then you have growth. I can spend, I don't know, how long, Mazen, how many days we spent on this? 5 days in San Francisco? 3? I can spend 30 days on this, because there's so much content under it.
And also you want to spend some time for questions.
Yes, so unless you're solving for each one of them, you still don't have a business. So choose which one you want to focus on in the business and then start focusing on it and move on to the next step. Ah, yes.
That's the fun part, huh? I have to say something here. Now he's walking the talk. He talked the talk, and now it's time to walk the talk.
So I think this is going to open, by the way, the Bahrain retreat chat page. It's fine.
Yeah.
Who cares? So what am I doing here? How many of you have 60 people? 60 people now know about Scandi, know about the product, without advertising. It's my relationship with Mazen I've been cultivating for a while. It's why you're here. It's a chance for me to tell you about the product. But I'm not selling you the product. I'm not doing anything. All I want to do is tell you about these things and open up the floor for questions. So that's all I have now. Thank you. Every company, from Uber to Lyft to Zid to every company, is solving for these things. The big ones and the small ones, by the way.
Thank you very much, Nagi, for the great talk. I know this is you made a really good job in chop it up into a really good 1 hour talk or 2 hours talk. This is usually delivered in 3 days workshop. But thank you very much. It's the same experience, the same shock that I got there back in the valley. That was, I think, a lot of...
now you feel it, you have Zid more real now.
We've applied a couple of strategies and it worked for us. It worked for us big time. For the past 2 years, we really don't spend a dime in marketing. That's what I learned from Nagi. Don't spend money. Usually do free marketing as soon as possible, as much as possible. Save your money until you get some investors. Now we'll open it up for questions. If you have a question, your name, your company, and the question if you want.
There's up to mine. I hope I can answer them. I can't promise you I'll answer everything.
السلام عليكم.
هلا.
عبد الله الدوسري من الشركة الوطنية للاستثمار برنامج العرض. My question is that we talked about free marketing and it's the best way to start. But yet you see these all big companies go with so expensive companies like TV shows, Instagram, Snapchat.
Like who? Which company? Like
Coca-Cola, for example.
okay.
They go everywhere. Some Chinese company like Jolly Sheik, they spam the ads. Is that another strategy, or they are doing it wrong, but they have so much money? What's the difference?
No. So the question is spending money on advertising a wrong strategy, right? If you're big.
This is what they are doing.
Yeah. So.
They are supposed to be big companies, right? So they have a big marketing, yet they didn't go for free.
Facebook. My friend works at Facebook. He's a designer. He's a designer who was hired by Facebook to work on literally this much space on the Power Editor on Facebook. That's it. And he's making close to $13,000 a month just on this space. You know why? Because Facebook can. They can hire these people. They have the money. My point about you not spending money is not because I don't believe in paid marketing. My point is that when you're starting, oxygen for you is cash. The reason you ran out of business, you close your company, is because you ran out of money to run enough experiments. So you have to preserve your cash as much as possible. This means the longer you can run with your cash, the longer you have chance of success. It's so easy to spend the money on advertising when you're starting up because this is what you think is going to work. Because you see Coca-Cola, you see Jolly Sheik, you see all these guys spending money. And that's the mistake. The minute, and this is where lack of alternatives focuses the mind. The minute you say, I'm not going to spend my limited money, the $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 on advertising, which is nothing, by the way. I'm going to focus on all these other ways, the partnerships, the business development, the organic marketing, to grow my business up to a point where I get investor money and I can start allocating some of it in acquisition to create more velocity, then you can start spending money. But Coca-Cola is not about advertising only. There's a lot of ways they could market themselves. So the PR, when they spend money on PR, the value of the PR exceeds the cost. You guys have to be extremely selfish in every dollar you're spending, every dollar. The reason I'm telling you delay it is because unless you optimize for all of these things, chances are you're spending money on acquisition, but you're still losing a lot of people on the activation. If you have solved for activation, you're still losing a lot of people on the retention. So you're literally losing money. When you invest in organic marketing, A, it's repeatable. B, it saves you a lot of money and a lot of time down the road so you can survive longer. Once you have money, then go in and spend some money, but spend it intelligently. wisely with a positive return on the investment.
So,
Me?
Thank you very much for your talk. My name is Abdul Hashan. I'm the project and IT manager at the Saudi Bar Association, and I own my startup tech company right now. Right now in the acquisition, sometimes we acquire the wrong customers. How to deal with them? They will be needy. They will stop asking a lot of features. They want stuff that actually want to tune your app or your platform for their needs, but they're actually the wrong acquired user.
Yeah.
So how to deal with them?
This is where you need to spend a lot of time on the positioning. So there's something called personas in positioning. Personas is profiling the person, the ideal person who needs to use it. What pain are they facing? Who are these people? Are they mothers? Are they fathers? Are they lawyers? Like, you have to describe the persona of the ideal person you want to target, and then go find these people. The challenge of getting the wrong people, you're spending resources, time and attention and maybe money on people who are going to delay you. You have to clean up your marketing. And I think most likely your problem is the choice of audience you're going after. That's why I'm telling you, in the very beginning, if you have multiple audiences, choose one, and then the whole funnel is designed for that audience. The more time we spend on your audience, the more I can tell you that that's why you're facing this problem, because their expectations about your product is different from what you're promising them, because they're facing a different pain. So they want a different solution. They think they understand what your product does, but it's not exactly what you want. And by the way, that's an exercise you can do in your company, but with others as well. And it's extremely effective in relationships with your husband, with your fiancé, with your wife. It's called active communication. It's when you say something, and you can do it. You can in the program we pair up people and tell them, describe your product to the person in front of you. And we ask the person to repeat what they heard. 90% of the cases, what the person is saying back is not exactly what the company is. It's what they thought it is. And the more you do it in the marketing, the more you're going to realize what you think is the product is not what they understood what the product is. The expectation is different, the promise is different, and that's why they're complaining. So the more simple words you use, the more you identify the pains, and you show them that this is what you're solving for, the more you're going to attract the right people. Does this help?
Thank you, Nagi, for your time and for giving us the opportunity to be here. My question is regarding the things that you said. You try to simplify the registration and avoiding long forms and etc. I have a problem. I'm about to launch an application, but not yet announced. And I have a couple of forms to be there. The reason of having them is to simplify the search for a user. For example, Abiat or Pay.com. So they ask a couple of questions.
Jobs?
Yeah, for jobs, yeah. So if a user wants to search for a job, he needs to answer a couple of questions to narrow down the search. This is what I'm doing in my application. So what's the solution for that thing?
Again, it's humans, right? Who likes to fill up forms here? Like big forms? No one. So filling up forms is annoying, especially when it's visually long. Do you know Typeform? Typeform, do you know it? So Typeform is a visual way of collecting. The UX makes it interesting and it's easy to fill up. A. B, they don't show you the whole form. They focus the experience on one question with visual big buttons, options. When you click on it, the whole screen goes down and shows you the next one. They make it extremely simple and easy to use. You might decide to choose the whole screen on one key question. When they answer, they go to the next question, and the next question. It's not filling forms that's annoying. It's the way you're requesting data from the people. The more you can, and here's where you can learn a lot about from games. So you can gamify, you can make it like a friend. Go to Duolingo.com. Have you heard of it? Duolingo is the largest language company in the world, largest app. It's about, yeah, so it's a teaching app. To teach you, they need to understand your level. The guy who built it sold 3 companies to Google. One of them is the CAPTCHA, the reCAPTCHA that you see. He invented the reCAPTCHA and he sold it because he was making ads on it and Google bought it. That's his 4th company. He had no idea about languages. He decided to solve it. But he knew if I wanted to solve it like everyone else, nobody's gonna learn. They created the most user-friendly, the most fun experience in surveys and filling up forms and in teaching you. They gamified it. It looks like a game. The more you can focus on the experience and make it look less like what people hate visually, which is the form, the more you're going to get people. People hate filling up the form of bait. It's the old way of doing it. That's why bait doesn't exist the way it used to exist, because the web has evolved. And people have been trained to hate these kind of visual experiences. Do it completely different. What do humans hate? These forms. Scrap it. Let's start from scratch. What is the easiest way? Games. People love playing games. Duolingo combined the experience of games with the annoyance of having to learn a language. That's why it's huge right now. 60?
60 questions.
Okay.
If I have 60 questions, as you said, I will have each question in each page. So that means 6 pages.
Maybe. Maybe.
So it will be a little bit.
No, but for example, what you could do, instead of clicking on a selection and hitting next, as soon as you click, it moves to the next answer, next question. So you simplify the experience. I'm not telling you design 6 pages. I'm telling you one way to do it is that. And you have to look at your form to tell you what you can do. But others have solved this problem already. Here's the other thing that I encourage everyone to do. It's controversial, but it works. Ethically steal. Steal with pride. What does that mean? Identify a company that exists in your market that is already big, that is successful, that does what you do in a different market. And steal everything they're doing. Steal their UX, steal their designs. I'll give you an example. Ethically steal, like steal with pride. Really. And it's not my quote. I've learned it from a guy. This guy built Chegg.com. I don't know if you know Chegg.com. For those who don't know Chegg.com, it's a book rental company for college students where instead of buying a book, you can rent a book. So they built this company, and people were not renting books. And they started experimenting with this and this and this and this. Nothing was working. They started from scratch, basically. At that point, Netflix was taking off in the US. And the guy had an idea. We are letting people rent books. Netflix let people rent DVDs. Netflix is successful. It's growing, it's exploding actually. We want to steal everything they're doing. They literally stole everything except the colors. The font size, the font type, the pixel placement of everything. The business took off. 6 years later, they went public and they sold the company. Now he has 5 Teslas at home, the guy. So he asked me to help them in his new company, which is a gaming company for kids. And he told me, I don't want to waste time experimenting with UX and UI. I identify a big company in my space that people are used to. I steal everything they do, and I focus on the acquisition. I focus on the messaging. I don't want to focus on discovering the UX. So what you could do, identify a company that's successful. Successful means they're making lots of money. When you make a lot of money, you can afford to spend a lot of salaries. When you can afford to spend a lot of salaries, a lot of people, they split testing and they're optimizing everything. Save yourself millions of dollars of testing. Take whatever they're doing, implement it in your business, obviously localize it, and focus on other things. Don't focus on UX. Focus on the acquisition, focus on the partnership, focus on the free marketing. Once you have the business going on, then you can start optimizing for things. You have to be very choiceful of where you're going to be focusing. So for you, what is the biggest job site in the company, in the world? What are they doing? They're successful because they must be doing something correctly. They're hiring all these product designers, the UX experts, they're split testing the hell out of everything for it to work. Steal it. Don't listen to me. Steal it. I mean, listen to me, but don't listen to how I'm doing the UX. Steal what they're doing, implement it, and see what's working, what's not working. Don't feel afraid, oh, people are going to think I'm stealing. Yes, you're stealing, and I'm proud I'm stealing. Who opened the Scandi code? Who scanned it?
We'll have one last question, and I'd like you please to just give us a little bit about Scandi and how.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you why I asked this question.
Thank you for your time and Madan for arranging this for us. The question, just to let you know, I'm Zuhaib Ahmed. I'm a co-founder of 3 education apps. Madrasati, which is a smart academic planner and tracker, Hafilati for student bus safety, and Waqt al-Bayt for private pickup transportation safety for students. Talking about the empty space that you mentioned and user onboarding, we experimented by, rather than having pictures on how to do things or something else, we gave short 10-second videos on how to do something. Do you think that's a good idea to move about on? Because we have complex procedures in how to use the app or the things that are there in the app. So we use short 10-second videos on how to do a process.
So when I land on the app, I see the video.
No, you land on the app and you just see basically the landing page that has different buttons. But the first button is how to use the app. When you click on that, you've got titles on how to take attendance, let's say how to track the bus or how to see small 10-second videos. So my question is, for a complicated app, how do you onboard the user?
Videos do help, but it's better if you, well, you have to measure what's going on. Maybe it's working, maybe not. If it's not working, because people want to, it's better to show me how to use it, not tell me how to use it. In the video, you're telling me how to use it. What you can do, you can focus, like the whole screen could be gray, and the button you want them to click on could be like lit. And then there could be some caption around it, start here. They tap on it, the same thing. In Facebook, when they released the new newsfeed, they did that. They started pointing in different places. There's a lot of apps that allow you to do that, but if you have good engineers, you can do it. It's very easy. Gray the whole screen, highlight the button, point with a message to it, start here, then the next screen is here, and the next screen is here. Now you taught me the main flow of the product, how it works. Then you can show me in the how-to or in the help or somewhere in the menu videos about it, so I can go back and watch them.
I do have one last question. First of all, my name is Fawaz Al-Naki. I am a software engineer at IBM in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm currently working on my own product, and my question was, sitting here listening to you talk a lot about customer acquisition, where you're trying to reach out to individuals. In my product, I'm trying to reach out to businesses and have them have them use my product to implement across their employees. How does those strategies that you suggested kind of differ and switch? So instead of pitching to a customer, I'm pitching to a business, and I'm trying to...
Give me an idea of one company, like what kind of company you're pitching to.
Any company that hires individuals that work.
Give me one.
McDonald's would work. Any company that...
Give me another McDonald's, because McDonald's is more enterprise.
Sure. Supermarkets, government positions, teachers.
Give me one other than McDonald's.
Okay, schools.
Which school?
Any government or private school?
Which school?
Okay, Riyadh schools.
Riyadh school.
Yeah.
What's the product? Is it software?
Yes, it's a software that helps sort of organize managers with their employees.
So you're never, give me, what's the name, Riyadh School?
Sorry, say that again?
You said-
Yep, schools, yeah.
Yes.
So you're never talking to Riyadh School.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking to a human inside the Riyadh School.
True.
Sir?
Mm-hmm.
Who's this human? What's the role of this human?
A manager position. So
What manager?
Assuming a principal.
You should not assume. These are
Yeah.
these are things you should know. The way you should know is by testing, by experimenting with different personas. You have to know exactly who is your person you want to talk to. This means you have the champion and the company is going to be using the product, but they're most likely not the decision maker. Somebody else has to decide and pay. So you have to balance both. You have to turn this person into the champion who's going to market and sell it internally for you. But who's this person? If it's the IT manager, it's something. If it's the operation manager, it's something else. Again, what is it that this person needs and wants? What is the pain this person is facing? It's not the school. This person, it might be, I have so much work, I don't have bandwidth to see my family anymore. The pain is, I want to finish, the pain is I don't see my family anymore. I feel guilty. Now you position your product as, I'm going to help you leave early. And here's the proof to it. Now you turn me into a champion because now I'm able to go and see my family early. You made it very selfish. When I'm doing, and I focus more on B2B by the way, not on consumer. When I'm doing B2B, the very first questions, the very first thing I do, I ask a lot of questions about the person in front of me. Tell me more about your job. What is success for you? What is your KPI? What is it you attempt to do in the business? What would make your job successful? It could be, I just want to exceed my quota. It could be, I want to please my manager. It could be, I want to get more awareness in the company. It's almost never, unless you're talking to the CEO, about more profit for the company or more business for the company. The minute you relate the product to the person in front of you, the human being in front of you, and solve their pain, the more you can have business. Schools, you have to keep in mind that it's a long sales cycle. It's long, a lot of follow-ups, a lot of different people who are going to get involved. The best thing is to show the product, give them the value of the product for free. And then tell them, if you want more, you have to pay. Because now they can get instant gratification without having to go to the long list of requirements and then approvals to get the product used. The more you can show them the product working for a business and tell them, if you want more, now it's time for you to pay, you have higher chances of converting them. But again, you're never talking to a business. You're talking to a human being in the business.
I'm sorry, just a bit of a follow-up question. So if you're looking up higher up the chain, so instead of going to a school, you're looking more towards the technological officer at the Ministry of Education, someone that can implement such a change to all schools in the country, for example. How do you kind of send that message when their pains don't really correlate with the pains of the people that would benefit from the system, such as the schools themselves?
It could be greed. It could be this person wants to look good in front of the crown prince. It might be, here's how we're implementing the Vision 2030 in the schools. It could be competition among their peers. Somebody else is getting more recognition than them. Again, people are very selfish. You have to understand, it's all about selfishness. What is it they desire, they need? It could be just ego. I want more publicity in the kingdom. The more you can understand what is it that drives them, the more you can play on the competition, here's how we can make you look good, the more it's going to spill over.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Can you please explain how this is different than any QR code that we've ever seen? And please guys, في واحدة من الأخوات عندها تطبيق تبعكم. She's using also QR code Nagi, so حاطة بروشور عند الباب. pick one, give her your feedback, يعطيك العافية. وخليها خطة دائمة، أي أحد يبغى تسويق ببلاش. But please tell us what this QR code is all about.
So this QR code opens up a messaging experience on the browser. It's a way to get people to talk to businesses in an automated way through conversation. Yeah.
The scan D1 scandy.io would work where you have a messenger-like bot about yourself, but that particular website does not.
Maybe this. Open the camera and just do it. It's easier. So, I built Scandi as a tool, as a messaging tool for businesses, as a first messaging tool for the offline world, for brands in the offline world, where they can talk to people and they can talk back to people without any app on the browser. So right now, when you scan this, it's a conversation that's opening up, where you talk when I'm talking to you, basically. We have events using it. We have consumer goods in the supermarket using it. We have hotels using it. So any business that's in the physical world that wants to talk to people without a mobile app, without a website, through conversational marketing, it's all personalized. It's like information on demand, basically. The QR code just opens it. You can also open it through links. But what you see when you open Scandi on your devices, which works on any device, on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, inside Instagram, inside Snapchat, inside any device, basically. What you see is very intentional. I did not want to waste time experimenting on how the UX and UI is going to look. I literally stole everything about Facebook Messenger. Because I realized Facebook's invested millions of dollars on perfecting their UX of their Messenger. Let me not waste time discovering how to do UI and UX for my chat page.
I was going to say, you like your UI, you're going to steal it.
It's steal Facebook, not this new one, the old one, because the new one is.
Messenger as a first experiment, right?
Facebook Messenger, here's my thinking. Facebook Messenger is installed on 1.5 billion devices, which means 1.5 billion people know how to use Facebook Messenger. They're trained and they're familiar with the experience. I don't have to teach them. So the whole experience of how to use it, I don't have to worry about it. Second thing is, they hire designers for the tiniest thing. They split test the hell out of everything. I can save myself tens of millions of dollars on testing and hiring people by just stealing their design. Literally, it took us maybe one day to do the design. And I'm focusing everything else on the business aspect. But now that it's working, I'm modifying it to move to the next step in the design. But I started there. Yeah, you have a question? Maybe, I don't know. But I'm too small for them to ignore me. The other thing I do in business, and Mazen knows it, I have this thing, and you should do it. I never ask for permission. I always ask for forgiveness. I say, sorry, I didn't know, but by the time they notice me, I'm already past that stage. I proved myself I'm big enough. So when I want something, I can break the rules and get it. I never break the law. I go and get it. If it's not allowed, oops, sorry. So I always ask for forgiveness, never for permission. Not can I do this, oh, can I steal this, or can I use it? I'm never going to ping somebody from Google, from Facebook, tell them, can I use your designs? I'm just going to do it. And I did it many, many times. At Tango, I wanted to promote Martin Luther King Day, which was big. So I went and got a designer from the Middle East who created these stickers for Martin Luther King. And we designed a sticker pack and we promoted it across 500 million people. And then the CEO came and told me, where's the agreement for this permission to use Martin Luther King name and image? I said, I don't have it. He said, what do you mean you don't have it? I said, I don't have it. But the campaign is live and it's actually ended. But that time, I said, sorry. And nobody told us from the Martin Luther King company, if you want. Nobody told us anything. But if they did tell us something, we would have told them, sorry. He's a guy from the Middle East, he didn't know. There's always a reason. So we benefited from it and we did it. I'm not saying break the law. I'm just saying never ask for permission. Just do it, especially when you're a young startup.
Thank you very much, Nagi. We hope you all enjoyed it.
Let me give you a last one.
Yeah.
How I hacked events.
Events?
Yes.
Yeah. With this?
Not yet, no.
Yeah.
When I went to the Valley, the US, I had all these big events, like TechCrunch, I never paid for TechCrunch. Microsoft Build, I never paid for Microsoft Build. So Microsoft Build sold, I think, 6,000 tickets. Each one was like $4,000 in the first 2 minutes. What I did, and I talked to Saud Hawaii, and I talked to a few others in different markets. And I told them, would you want some coverage from Microsoft Build, from TechCrunch, from this, from that? They said, yes, of course. I said, okay, can I be your editor in the US to get you this content, these pictures, these videos, some quotes from people? They said, yes, of course. They had nothing to lose. Actually, they had a lot of things to win. So now I had few big brands that gave me the okay to talk about them. I went to all these different events, and I told them, we want to give you coverage to 1 million people in the Middle East. And I showed them the actual numbers in the email. Do you want free coverage? Yes. I would request a media pass. They would send me a media pass the day of the event. I walk in, I get my media pass, I save myself thousands of dollars. I get to every single event. In the event, obviously, I take some pictures, I take some quotes, I send it back, and then eventually everyone's happy. I make the event happy, the partner's happy, and I'm happy. I call it the happy, happy model. So if you want to get to in the event, identify people that you can represent that would benefit the event organizers. You want free marketing? We can help you market yourself in Yugoslavia, for example. We can help you market yourself in the Philippines or in China because China is interested in entering the market. Are you interested? You already have a partnership with those Chinese publications, and they get free, because they have free passes. So that's how I got into every single event, like dozens and dozens of events. In fact, the Microsoft Build.
Try this and STEP, you mean? STEP conference here in Riyadh. We should do that. No, actually, we will do a deal, inshallah, with the Riyadh Geeks to have at least discounted tickets, inshallah.
You know Ray?
Huh?
Ray.
Yes, of course.
Okay, of course you know. What am I asking? It's Mazen.
لا والله إن شاء الله we will meet إن شاء الله this week. فالله يعطيكم العافية. Thank you very much again, Nagi, for
Thank you guys.
As always, you will find the report in our YouTube channel, and also Nagi will be around in the country, I think.
For a while.
For a while, إن شاء الله. فيعطيكم العافية جميعا.
Thank you guys.